Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So thank you, Rabbi Appel, Rabbi Berzin, Cantor Alexander, for this privilege. 3 weeks ago, I attended my first board meeting as a member of the URJ's North American board. So for those of you that don't know, the Union for Reform Judaism is the umbrella organization that has over 800 congregations, of which we're one of them, and over 1 million Jews affiliated with it. It's a real privilege to follow in the footsteps of Jane Rips and Gary Kaplan of blessed memory, both of whom were friends that offered me support, guidance, and friendship. We're also lucky tonight to have another member of the URJ's Board of Trustees in attendance, Lenore Moss from KAM Isaiah in Chicago. Welcome. So we covered a lot of ground over a single 24-hour stretch, but there were two major topics: Israel and the history of sexual misconduct under the URJ umbrella. Both of these topics are big, they are heavy, and they challenged many of us in that room in New York and many of us here in Omaha. I'll start with Israel. I'm not going to tell you anything you don't know, but wow, so much has changed even in the 3 weeks since we were there. The proposed judicial reforms are on hold until at least the end of Passover, and there's another flare-up of violence this week, including today. When I came out of this meeting, I came even more convinced about the importance of the Israeli Supreme Court as the only check protecting democracy and preventing another theocracy in the Middle East. Israel does not have a written constitution that guarantees freedoms or even articulates the ideals of the country that so many of us ascribe to. At our meeting, we were joined by a member of Knesset, Rabbi Gilad Kariv, the first Reform rabbi to hold a seat in the Knesset, and a member of the Labor Party. We also heard from Orly Erez Lakovsky, the director of the Israeli Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism. They gave us the very latest update about events on the ground, and more importantly, they appealed to us to take action. I don't think I was the only person in the room that was stunned to have a sitting member of parliament asking diaspora Jews to get involved in Israeli domestic politics. That is a big deal, and that's the political struggle that I think most of you are aware of. But coming out of this meeting, I've been thinking about an even deeper struggle for me of reconciling the idea that they, the extreme right-wing zealots who are in control of many parts of the Israeli government now, are still part of we. They are part of Klal Yisrael. This is the same we that all of us were talking about at our Seders. We were once slaves in the land of Egypt. I don't know what it will take for me to embrace these groups as part of we, and it's hard to see those groups embracing me and my family. But all of us need to find the path to get there if Israel as an idea is to survive. While the situation is changing quickly, there are 3 specific things that we were asked to do. The first is to stay on top of the issue. I think many of us are, the ones that I know are, through American news sources, through Israeli news sources. The second is to speak up about this with your family, with your friends, how you feel about it. And third is to consider joining the Association of Reform Zionists of America, ARZA. This is an arm that I had nothing to do with before 3 weeks ago, and have since made my first contribution and gotten engaged. The URJ asked us to come back and put out an ask for our congregation for a contact person on Israel-related issues. So you don't have to raise your hand now, but I'm here to ask if there's someone in this room who would be the Temple Israel contact with the URJ on all Israel-related issues. Don't need to raise your hand, but I hope you'll see me tonight. The second topic is also upsetting, but necessary. And it's the beginning of the process of teshuvah for the harm that's been done under the URJ umbrella. In 2021, the URJ asked anyone who had experienced sexual misconduct in URJ spaces, including camps, Religious Action Center programs, events, or the URJ workplace, to share their stories with an independent law firm conducting an investigation. While this report was released in February of 2022, it's posted in full on the URJ's ethics website. This board meeting was the first in-person time where the board got to hear it and talk about this. So you can imagine the kind of tension, the sadness, the pain in that room. The chair of the URJ, Jen Kaufman, appointed an ethics accountability task force last year to oversee the implementation of the recommendations of this report. And the URJ has made ethics accountability a key reform movement priority. This task force. The first is about training leaders. And the URJ is redoubling their efforts to train volunteer leaders, to train staff in cooperation with HUCJIR and about training Jewish professionals. We're trying to foster a culture of accountability, responsibility, and safety for all. The second is a very narrow bridge. The goal of this victim and survivor-centered work is to do everything we can to heal the relationship between individuals who are harmed and the institutions they have the responsibility for keeping them safe. This work began in September of 2022. We heard a detailed update about it on this meeting. The third is that congregations, including Temple Israel, the URJ is pushing for congregations to adopt a written congregational code of conduct. The goal is for 75% of congregations to have this or be in the process of doing this by the high holidays of 2023. We need a working group here from across our congregation who wants to help craft a code of conduct for this congregation. There are a lot of resources and templates available to start this work. This effort will start later in the spring. It will likely take 3 to 4 meetings, again, with the goal of having it adopted by our board before the high holidays. And I'm here also to ask for people to speak to me to join this effort. That's a congregational task force to develop a written code of conduct about what it means to be a member of this congregation. So these were both hard topics, and at the same time, attending this meeting was absolutely inspiring and uplifting. So please reach out to me if you're interested in the long version, but I'm happy to share more. But for tonight, I want to share 2 specific experiences that bring me back to our community with a refilled bucket of hope, energy, and compassion. The first is about our congregation. Temple Israel has a strong national reputation. People know us, they ask about us. Multiple board members that I don't know, and the president of the URJ, Rabbi Rick Jacobs, asked about you, cares about us. They all said nice things about our community's history and our contributions to the movement. It was a great reminder that we in this room are part of something larger, something that truly is a movement, and we're adding to the story to the Jewish life. That there is thriving Jewish life in Omaha, Nebraska, and in collaboration with Tri-Faith is a real inspiration to Jews everywhere. Multiple people told me how they get stuck in their New York bubble. And to know that we're here, it lifts them up. It makes them feel energized. We're not a minor player or otherwise forgotten. We are something special. The second takeaway is more personal. Judaism has played different roles at different points in my life. I suspect that's similar for many of you too. I've tended to see those patterns only looking backwards. What role did Judaism play in my life as a teenager, as a college student, as a new parent? But this URJ meeting switched that frame for me, and instead of looking backward for reflection, I'm looking forward for inspiration. I'm looking forward about the role that Judaism will play in my life ahead. I'm excited to think in clear terms about how Reformed Jewish values will explicitly be the starting point for my service to the Jewish community, and even a clear through line in my personal and professional work. I see starting with Jewish values as a way to launch positive feedback and upward spirals. I'm energized to think even more creatively and expansively about how my actions and ideas start and develop in a Jewish context. I think they'll make my contributions feel meaningful in a profoundly different way. The URJ's vision is a world in which Judaism enables all people to experience peace and wholeness, shalom, justice and equity, tzedek, and belonging and joy, shayachut and simcha. We all know there are immediate and significant challenges that we see in Israel, in the U.S., in Nebraska, in our communities, and meeting these challenges, it will not be fast or easy. But we also won't abandon them because that vision is too truly believe that vision is coming together over the longer term because of the work that we are doing. I'm honored to be a part of the URJ leadership and be a connector from our community to the movement that's working toward that vision. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.